Yes, we are so blessed to have you all with us today on the live stream. We are blessed to have you all in our congregation. So right about now, I will be having our opening prayer. So I ask you all just to assume a position of prayerfulness. Oh, kind and ever-loving Father, we thank you for this day that you would have given to us, dear God. Thank you for your blessed Sabbath day, and thank you for this opportunity for us to gather here and to hear these couples share their thoughts and their ideas about marriage, dear God. I pray that they will reach the audience that they need to be reached, and I pray that the young persons will get the ideas that they need to hear, dear God, and I pray that it will be a holy service in that we will get, our answers from you, dear God. I pray that you'd continue to guide each and every one of us here. I pray that you will bind the couples in one cord of love and understanding, so that after this program, they will be even stronger and they'll be able to go home and just love each other more, dear God. I pray that you'll continue to guide us in your name, I pray. Amen. Amen. So right about now, I will just be doing reading some 2 keys to a happy marriage. Almost every marriage starts out as a huge celebration. Together with family and friends, each couple is full of hopes and dreams for their future life together. But the road to a happy marriage is far from easy. And as today's divorce statistics demonstrate all too well, many couples opt not to complete the journey. It would be easy to blame our high rate of marital failure on things like not spending enough quality time together, allowing bitterness and resentment to build in our hearts, and failing to keep the lines of communication open. There's no end to books, articles, and seminars that tell you how to improve these and many other aspects of your relationship. But while quality time, forgiveness, and communication are vitally important to creating a happy marriage, if such things aren't happening, it's usually a sign of a much deeper problem. And until this problem is addressed, no amount of external behavioral modification will work. Love the Lord, your God, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And all the law of the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. Therefore, as I end this reading, this is something to ponder on. If you do not first love yourself, how can you love a spouse? How can you love a neighbor? How can you love a child? Right? So as God has told us, love yourself first, show yourself love. And for the young persons, this is why we promote enjoying your season of singleness. You must first learn to love you before you can love a partner. You are not half of a person looking for your other half. You are a whole person looking for another whole. All right? So, sister, thank you for listening to me this evening. We'll now move over to Brother Joseph Dennis, who will give us our AYA motto and pledge.
Good afternoon, and we will be doing our AYA motto and pledge. So could we please stand? AYA, the Advent message to all the world in my generation. Motto, for the love of Christ compels us. Pledge, present arms. Loving the Lord Jesus, I promise to take an active part in the work of the Youth Society and doing all I can to help others to finish the work of the gospel in all the world. Order arms. Thank you.
Good afternoon, church. fall down, but we get up. We fall down, but we get up. We fall down, but we get up. For a saint is just a sinner who fell down and got up.
We fall down, but we get up.
Oh yeah,
We fall down,
but we get up.
we fall down,
But we get up.
for a saint
It's just a sinner who fell down, and he got up. We fall down, but we get up. Sometimes you may fall. You can fall, but you gotta get up. For a saint is just a sinner who fell down and got up.
we fall down,
We fall.
down,
In this life you can fall, but it can't stay down. You gotta get back up. For a saint,
for a saint is just
a sinner who fell down and got up.
we fall down,
When you fall, you gotta get back up again. When you fall, you gotta get back up. It's not too late. It's not too late for a saint, just a sinner who fell down and got up. So you can get back up again. Get back up again. You can 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 get back up again. For a saint is just a sinner who fell down and got up. Oh, you can get back up again. 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 You can get back up again.
saint is just a sinner
Who fell down. Oh, you can get back up again. 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 You can get back up again.
for a saint
For a saint, just a sinner who fell down and got back up. Oh, get back up. You can get back up again. 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 Oh, who fell down and got up. You can get back up again. 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 For a saint is just a sinner who fell down and got up.
So that was some lovely singing by our dear brother Reed. I know I was truly blessed, and our congregation was blessed as well. So right about now, we will be going into our discussion, which will be led by our dear elder, brother Clifton Armour. He's that gentleman you see sitting there in the middle, and even though he is alone, he has been married for a whopping 45 years, right? And I think that deserves a round of applause. Because I haven't been married, but I know that would not have been an easy feat. So he is the man with wisdom on the panel today, right? He's a retiree. He loves his wife dearly, and 3 things he loves about his wife is her eyes, her voice, and her smile. Our dear brother, our elder Amo, is also, for the first time, as he said, he is a poet. And he does have a book on its way out, so you guys could look out for that, right? We have big things coming out of the Dabaloni district. I will now move on to Brother Amo, and he will allow each couple to introduce themselves, say a little bit about themselves, their names, and something like that, just to get us started. Thank you so much.
Okay, so who will go first? Good evening, everybody. Who will go first?
I guess we'll go. Yeah.
Less bashful of the other.
My name is Darren Sandy. I'm married to Tobalyn Sandy. I don't know why she's laughing. We have a daughter, Sianda, who's giving trouble in the congregation. Sianda, behave yourself there. Yeah, behave yourself there. And we have been married for, I think this is going to be the 8th year, 2022, 6 and 2 make 8th year. And yeah, do you have anything to say?
Well, you introduced me, so. All right, so I think Darren has said it pretty much all. Yeah.
All right, my name is Lionel Sintele. I'm married to Akisha Sintele. And we have been married same time, 2014. This will be the 8th year. July will be on our anniversary. And it has been a nice journey, We will get more into that journey when we discuss.
Okay, thank you. What does Akisha have to say? Anything? Well, your husband says it all?
Well, yeah, nothing much now. Lana said it all.
Okay.
So, as we proceed.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with these 2 couples here. They look like they are still on honeymoon to me. I can see the light in their eyes, and you look beautiful. You look beautiful on this set, I must say. We're talking about marriage this evening from a young people perspective, and both of you have been married 8 years. All right, okay, that's beautiful. You are still on honeymoon then. When we look at marriage, it was Aristotle who said that man is by nature a social being. And if there's anything different to that, other than an accident, he's either below or above humanity. He's not normal, all right? Aristotle said that. Now, God also said that. God also determined that in the Garden of Eden, he looked and he saw that Adam, in Genesis chapter 2, verses 28 to 24, what he observed was that man was lonely. And we can all understand from our own experience and from our own yearnings, when we reach a particular age, that marriage was made for man because we are social beings. All right? It's a natural progression. Look at those young people there, so those babies. Someday, they're going to reach the stage where they will yearn for the company of a male, or or if it's a boy, the company of a female in their life. So tell me something. People fall in love, or people grow in love. I wonder that you, my brother, right here. What was your situation? Did it evolve into love, or was it love at first sight? And be careful; she might give a different answer to you, huh?
Yeah, well, as the man, the man seeks, the man goes. Well, in this 21st century, we see another thing where the women are more aggressive.
Oh, I was wondering.
In my time, I was the aggressor, So when I saw her, I knew that she was different, from the first time I saw her, So I just needed to get to know her and needed to get certain things in place. So I know that once I get to know her and I really see if she was really the one, And as I spoke to her, I knew that things was different. She was not the normal, genuine, just normal girl out there. She was different. So I knew that I found something special.
I get the impression from day one, you saw her as the one.
Yeah, well, she was special. It's only until when I spoke to her and I got to know her, really got to understand her and so on, then it just became even more solidified.
I hear you. We talk about, growing to know each other. I want to go straight to Tova. Tova, let me hear you. Get it from a woman's perspective. What happened between you and Darren? I know Darren growing up from small, like quiet guy. All of a sudden, Darren going to get married. What did you do, Tova? Let me hear.
Darren's and I relationship really started off in like university via sports, that mutual interest. He was always nice, and he was always my type. In particular, tall girls, you see a tall guy, great, from that physical perspective. But, okay, let me give you all this quick joke.
Be careful now, huh?
So Darren was doing this poem. This was the first time I heard him do a poem, and only years later I understood that was like his entry into poetry, right? And I remember him doing a poem. I didn't know him in no kind of way, but I remember him doing this poem, and he spoke about this person called Success. He's going to marry Success, and she'll become Success Sandy. And in that moment, I was like, wait, I wonder if I could be Success.
Yeah. You read between the lines.
So that was real interesting to know, But yeah, he was always very intriguing. So yeah.
I hear you. And looking at your eyes, right? It gives credence to what you are saying. Thank you very much. Sister Akisha, you get into a relationship. Boy meets girl, and it's progressive. All right? But in terms of getting married, where did you realize that? Oh my, sorry. Why don't you give me a headset, please? Okay, where did you realize this? Marriage. He is of marriage material. And that is the guy I want to get married. But did you bring it up or did he bring it up?
All right, so let me just give you a backdrop before I answer that. Lana and I met young. We were in secondary school. So when I say that, you could kind of, it's a bit, I would say a bit different, right? But to answer your question, we had this plan. We always said that in 5 years we get married. 5 years, everything was about 5 years. And the only thing is we didn't have a beginning of that 5 years, so we had no end. So it was 5 years this year, and the next year was 5 years, and the next year was 5 years. And eventually I was,
Enough is enough.
You're getting older.
Enough is
and-
enough.
Yeah, enough
Yeah,
is
man,
enough.
yeah.
And then I was like, so Lionel, so what's your plan? So I didn't, I don't know, I brought it up, but we were talking about it. So it wasn't a matter of, I bully him into it, but we were talking about it, but I had to like nudge him a bit because we had this plan, but it just didn't have a start and end date.
I see. Well said. So it was not something like a sudden movement. No.
No.
It grew.
Yes.
It evolved into married stage.
Yeah, because we're younger. You know, we started off younger, so of course we wouldn't have been talking or heading to marriage at that point. But as time progressed and as our relationship progressed, marriage was the next step. You know, it was just a matter of when.
I hear you. I hear you. How did you manage that, Darren? I mean, waiting for who brought it up, really? You brought it up, did you? Who brought it up, marriage?
Officially it was me, unofficially it was her, because remember at that time she asked me to marry her. You know,
I knew it was heading that way. Go ahead.
and I say, well, obviously, you know what I said eventually. So yeah, it was sure. Was it you told me in person and a message or something? And yeah, marry me, please. Please marry me. It's no, it was a begging, yeah, begging.
No.
It was a begging vibes, and you know, I say I feel sorry for her.
You know, if I had asked my wife to come here, she would say no, because I would have acted the same way Darren is acting. She knows that I expected Darren to act that way. All right, we are looking at modern marriages, all right? Linnell, we are looking at modern marriages. Modern marriages don't always adhere to the Christian principles. What we find now is that many of them look at what they call prenuptial vows, so that in the event we can't make it, such and such and such. What are your views on that as Christians? I hate to bring it up, but you know, we are young people, let me hear it.
Well, for me personally, like, I didn't have nothing, so like...
I didn't get you clearly. Two of us laughing at it.
So I think like lower middle class people, like that don't really apply, because it's like you're building together, you're poor, you're broke. And everybody building at this stage, of course, history, enslavement, everything caused, especially African people, to be in a position where we now getting one step better than our parents, what our parents had. So if you're marrying somebody under those circumstances, it comes from understanding. I mean, most of the couples I know, I clearly don't have much rich friends, but with most of the couples I know, is almost an agreement to let's build this thing together. So I think it came a lot from that space for us, yeah.
Let me just add
Yeah,
a
by all
little bit
means.
to that, because in particular, I had a lot of friends, right? Whatever you all want to take of that, I had a lot of friends, a lot of people around me. I'm nice, and real people was after me, right?
Do you want to repeat that? Do you want to repeat that,
Right?
Stephen?
I'm saying I was real nice,
Okay,
and
just
real
checking, just
people
checking.
was ready to offer, you know. But so, and the thing is, I had lots of persons around me in terms of much more senior person. When I say senior, not like very old, but. And I remember always saying to myself, like, I always wanted to be with somebody that I could grow with, that nobody could kind of feel like they have this thing over me or they have that over me, that kind of thing. So for me, that was just something always in my head, even as a young girl, you know, that when I get married, I want to be married to somebody that I could build and grow with, as opposed to somebody who feel that they have all this thing over me. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that question and pertaining to Christianity, I don't think young people, we should enter marriage with that thought, you know, because for me that's starting on the wrong foot. Because
if I stick up in there, I ask it not in terms of expectation, but the fact that even as Christian, we are influenced by things of the world.
Yeah.
thanks. We are
So that's
influenced by.
why so from a Christian point of view, I think that should not be our philosophy. We should be entering it for love and on God's principle.
Thank God.
Which should be forever.
Diamonds are forever.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And
beautiful.
God hates the divorce, you know. So we shouldn't be looking for excuses to part ways. Because when we get into this marriage, it's a covenant, you know.
Yes.
And we need to understand what we're getting into. It's not a game, you know. Relationship, marriage is not a game where you just enter in and you could in the river on the bank, you know. We should really look at this thing as a sacred union.
By all means. You know, I was thinking that in getting married, you would have made what they call a conscious decision by observation and by relationships, when the relationship going. But has anyone influenced you all at all indirectly into getting married? For instance, you would have looked at the home and say, okay, this is the type of home that my spouse to be has, and I feel I can get into such a family. Anybody?
To say influence, I won't. I mean, growing up in the church, like it's just a natural thing, especially when it comes to, you know, sexual relationship and that intimacy. It's like, you know, you need to be married, that kind of thing. So to say it was a direct influence, I wouldn't say it was, but I just think because of the culture that we were around, it was just a natural and correct thing to do.
Okay, so natural observation cause attraction. All right, I hear you. Your views on that?
Same. It was just like the natural step. You know, we've been together for a while, and to me, the most natural thing after that is to get married. Like, what's the point of just, you know, hanging on? You know?
I hear you, but I was thinking though. I was talking about the influence of parents. Okay, so Lanelle's mother likes you, girl. When you want to solidify this thing, why do I want a daughter-in-law? You know, and were you influenced by such thing, or maybe your own siblings would have said, you know, he's a nice guy, you know, smooth complexion and everything. You know, he's a nice. Okay, and look, he's blushing now. Okay, so could such things have influenced you into getting married? Outside forces?
Well, because we would have been together for so long before we got married, because I said we started young. We always had that. So we're only going to get married from everybody, and then after you get married, we're only going to have a baby, you know, so we always get
the usual thing.
Yeah, the usual. Yeah, we got that. So in that context, yes.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Are you sure? Yeah, any other comments on that? Okay. Let's look at marriage then from the standpoint of two imperfect people living in an imperfect world. Now, we talk about marriage, and I remember, okay, let me tell you a little bit about me. During courtship, you don't see any faults. Am I correct? No, tell me. Look, you don't see it. I don't think they heard you on the mic. They want to hear you. What did you say?
Not in the earlies. Not in the earlies. All right, thank you. And two imperfect people. So therefore, problems will arise. A simple thing like what pastor, what forget his name, who had a crusade here recently, he was making a point. He says some marriages are shaken simply by the man using the bathroom and not carrying back down the seat. You're laughing at Keisha. I wouldn't ask you, but it's a problem. Or who squeezes the toothpaste from the top rather than from the bottom? Should I change the discussion? Okay. Now, how do we look at conflicts? We have some different approaches, in fact, different variables here. We're looking at communication, we're looking at loyalty, trust, mutual respect, collaboration, friendship, sharing responsibilities. Being a family is different to courtship. And I can tell you this. When the first baby is born, a man accustomed sleeping, to get up and, it's not natural in us. We have to will ourselves. How do you manage, since you are both parents, how do you manage conflicts in the home or make decisions? Is it difficult in terms of sharing?
communication. I'll give you the whole lot because we could be talking about this for the next 15 minutes or so.
Okay, I'll go. In the beginning, and I think both of us, Darren and I, for most of you who know us, we are very laid back, laissez-faire, that kind of thing. But, Olia, Darren is extremely organized. And while I may appear very organized, and I do things, in a kind of way, but I have my own order of things. And it's organized in my head, but it may not look that way according to his standard. But for me, I've just always been very easygoing in terms of, listen, you see conflict, I think it's real easy to fix, right? Somebody don't like this toothpaste squeeze in the middle, buy 2 toothpaste. You do what you had to do with your toothpaste, I do what I had. Like, it ain't that serious. So I was always the person who would just like, okay, let's just exist separately with those little things that to me was really nothing, right? But as the marriage progressed, you recognize that at some point, you must reach that point where there's either a mutual understanding of how you would like treat with something versus
Tolerance?
just trying to...
Tolerance?
Yeah, yes, tolerance, but I don't necessarily mean it just in terms of the toothpaste, but just in terms of, okay, you can't treat everything with just putting a plaster or just fixing it by, buying 2. So sometimes there's, in terms of conflict, you have to get to that point where you face it face on, and you have to treat with it or else it will fester. So as I said, in the beginning, it was really just like, listen, it's not a big deal. You do that, I do that. And we just kind of existed that way, but some things you just have to face head on and like deal with it.
So what you got, before you go, what you got here is that they have 2 tubes of toothpaste in the house, right? Okay, by all means, go ahead, please.
Well, for us, I remember in the earlies, we would be like, why people in relationships even argue? We argue about nothing. It was as though everything was on the right path, everything was all good, no conflict. And then I remember my mother used to always say, see me and come live with me is 2 completely different things. And I experienced that. Because yes, I would be by Lana's house, you see how we operate, but it wasn't a bother when he will call me as though as if I'm living there, where when he's missing something, I'm not living there. And he would be like, Isha, I'm missing something, I'm missing this. And I would just go and find it. And then when you get married, you realize you have to deal with that all the time. You have to just be the finder all the time. So it's when we really get married and start to live together, then you realize, oh, there are certain things that, not major conflicts, but small things. Sometimes these small things just add up. Right, so it was these small things. And for us, we still don't have major conflicts because we generally, on serious issues, we would agree on, generally. But it's these small things. And for us, dealing with conflict, we have 2, because Lana and I are like total opposites. He's outgoing, I am not. Whatever he is, I'm the total opposite of it. And so, because of that, how we deal with conflict is also very opposite. Yes. He needs to chat. I need quiet. I need peace. I need nobody to speak to me, and I will be fine. Lana will need to talk. And so because of that, because we deal with conflict differently, it's still a learning process because we still need to, after all these years, still need to learn how to deal with conflict because although it don't happen often, when it does happen, he is going to talk and I need silence. So sometimes it's not even the issue becomes the problem, but it's resolving it that is the problem. And then we're arguing for nothing, So, yeah, it just switched. But when you get married and you realize that, the realities of being married, it's very different.
I hear you. In my father's days, when I observed my father was born in 1898. Yes. Okay, 1898, my father was born. And he was a monarch of all the surveyed. He was the king in the house. I never saw my father wash wares. No, that's unthinkable. I never saw my father cook. My father never did those things. He wears a special type of clothes and khaki, and my mother would clean that. We're looking at men and women role. This is a modern society where both husband and wife are professionals, but in most cases, they are working, and the child comes now as an added responsibility. It's not easy to wake up, a man to wake up and messy for the child and change diapers. That's not us. We have to make an effort to change. But how do we look at it in terms of men and women role? Does that still exist in modern marriages?
Probably not by us, I guess. I mean, I guess it depends a lot on how people grow up. Because I mean, during my very formative and fundamental years, my parents migrated, so I was by myself. So I just learned to do everything for myself and do it at a very high level. My mom was always insistent or encouraged us as boys in the house, my brother and I, to just be able to do everything. And then my sister is kind of different to her. She's a different kind of girl. She is different way. You know, so she was never really on this household chores thing. Daniel was who Daniel is. You know, and I think we all followed a particular trajectory growing up. So that was me. So home, I don't think, is there anything? I'm joking. Yeah, but it's like that. It's like that kind of way. I have the belief, like my mama used to tell me, if Karan go on, should be able to find anything without putting on a light. And that's an important thing for me, and not such an important thing for her. So obviously there's a difference there in the way we just we go about existing. And I guess it's the same thing. I over talks, I like silence, because how I grew up, I just like things to myself, and I'm a selfish person when you look at it in a grand scheme. And you have to recognize, it's important for you to recognize that about yourself too. So you'll know how you actually respond to different struggles and conflicts and that kind of thing. But yeah, I do think tradition, for us at least, it doesn't really exist, you know. Do whatever you have to do, and if somebody has a role, I'll just expect the person to do it to the best of their ability.
Okay.
And that is where it stops for me, early.
I hear you.
Yeah, well, you see, as he was saying, everyone he has a different story based on your upbringing. You know, well, I had a childhood where, you know, young parents divorced, so I was never in a home where I had mommy and daddy together. But after a while, you know, went in America for a while, came back down, and was living with my dad and my stepmom. So I had a little idea of now seeing a marriage working. And yeah, my dad never used to really do as much washing and cooking and cleaning, but on the odd occasion you would see him doing that. But I had to do all those things, you know. So
as part of your chores?
Yeah, as part of my chores, you know. So every other week was somebody to wash wares, you know. Somebody have to, well, I was always outside cleaning. I never used to cook. That was my chore, you know. Outside you deal with the yard and washing wares. And, you know, on occasions you had to wash clothes. So I got a little bit of everything, except the cooking. But, you know, generally I glean that on my own after, you know. Yeah, so, yeah. So at the end of the day, I don't think I had that experience where I didn't have the experience doing the chores now. So for me now as a grown man, it's not hard for me to help out doing multiple roles. Where we see, as you know, the women roles in the traditional women roles, we share the responsibilities pretty
So you all,
well.
sorry,
Yeah.
so you all already what they call the modern families,
Yeah.
in that you are no longer streamlined, black and white. You adjust, and because of love, you are motivated to assist your wife or your husband, as the case may be. Go ahead, Sister Keisha.
Okay, how I see it, it's our home, We both work, we both provide, we are both providers for our home. And so whoever is better at it, do it. I am better at cooking than Lionel, so I cook. So if he was better, I would have left him to cook.
You wanted the opportunity to say that, right?
Yes.
I don't mind so.
Yes. And if he is better at washing the car, he should do that. So whoever is better at it should do it. Because it's our home and it's our responsibility to take care of it. It's not my home alone. And we both work and we both provide. So to me, it's not like it needs to be even, but we both should be able to take care of our home and our responsibilities.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to add my little 2 cents on this. So I know there's lots of, this new age of women being, I don't know what it is, but
independent women, fully independent.
That means, etc. I definitely believe that both parties are, individuals, and there's no role, like gender roles per se, for different things. But here it is, I don't want to fix no car, I don't want to wash no car, that is for a man to do. So there are some things, I hear the whole woman empowerment and think, but I don't want to be fixing no tire. So I want my husband or, just to deal with those things. And when it comes to, so in terms of the roles in the house, I'm so glad that his mother trained him so well. So he's really good at, doing stuff. And I don't have to pick up after Darren. That is awesome. But let's say, for instance, child rearing. That's a very different thing. So I remember one time Darren said to me when Sianda was very young, like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I don't know what to do. It just comes, like, I just figuring it out. Like, I learned it too. Like, nobody didn't teach me that. So, but I mean, he does exactly what he needs to do for Sianda. But there are some things that just not coming naturally,
I hear you.
I'll give one quick example about what happened this week. So Darren takes Sianda to school. No issues with that. Like, always on time, whatnot. So yesterday, I think it was, I said I will take her to school. So I remember waking up, and he doesn't know this, so this is the first time he's going to hear this. I remember saying, but I will get up and I will get her ready and do everything, and you just have to take her to school. You could get up 5 minutes before Sianda is ready to go. So yesterday, I am the one to take her to school. So he asked me, he said, you taking her? I'm like, yeah. So I was like, I wonder if it means that I'm not getting her ready then. It's just that natural thing, like, okay, so seeing that I'm going to take her, is it that you're going to, batter and give her everything? But I just went ahead and do it because it was just the natural thing to do. So I'm just saying, some things just come a little more natural to women. And it's not that the man think, use the woman, you should do this, but it just naturally happens in this space.
Okay, thank you. You're talking here about merging roles, all right, merging function, merging responsibilities, and it's coming naturally. Somewhere along the line, our individuality is going to stand out in certain things, all right? But before we look at individuality, certain aspects of individuality, I want to go back a bit. I should have asked this earlier on, but it's a good time to ask it since you are more relaxed. Let me put it in perspective. I was what I call a bachelor for many years. And I longed for my wife to come into the marriage relationship. And when she did, there was a problem. When it's time to sleep, I found the bed didn't have enough space. All right? How did you all deal with such developments? In terms of sharing your bed, because you're not accustomed. You answer that, because I realize you haven't already answered.
Just this week, probably, as with some poets, and I was telling them that the whole idea of, like you see on Hollywood, where two people in the bed wake up and thing, I was telling them that I just absolutely uncomfortable. Like, who does do that now, boy? Who does wake up so? And you thinking, and that person wait on you and your hand cramping and all that.
Are you getting it, or do you want to repeat it? I want to make sure they hear you, Darren.
That's not real, like, to me. Unless if you have a really large bed, then cool. Everybody have their own personal
Queen
space.
or king, brother, doesn't matter.
But I believe people should do what they're comfortable doing. And especially, I had an injury for some time. I needed to, like, stretch in a certain way. And wherever she sleeps, she sleeps. So that's that it has become very difficult. So sometimes, and I come in last all the time. I'm always last in. So I've learned the art of sleeping. I could sleep on a wall and a ledge so now, and just lie down there for the entire night because there's the space left to me when she's sideways and this one next way.
You have been trained. You have been trained.
Yeah. But you adjust it. It have a couch. It have an empty room. It have and you adjust it. Like it's not something I think that me personally I can only talk from my perspective. I don't want other people. If you talk up your wife and I talk up your wife and don't come and say there and say no, don't take my word. But it's all about what I'm comfortable with, what everybody comfortable with.
Yeah. Or what you grow to be comfortable with. Because
what you grow to be comfortable with, yeah. And I mean, coming to the marriage, I guess for most people, I was never really sleeping next to anybody anyway. So I mean, if you don't have another bed or if there isn't another option, then you have to adjust. You have to adjust and wake up with your back pain or whatever the case is, But you'll have to adjust. But we're not in that position where I have to adjust if I have to be in this position.
Okay, thank you. But we're not talking simply about space. We're talking about the discover that Akisha knows. I mean, I never knew she used to snore. You're not supposed to know that before, right? Okay, but you discover she snores or she rolls. What sort of mind adjustment do you have to make with that? Because, okay, before you answer, we are looking at not only the pretty side of marriage, but there are some challenges in marriage. All right, there are some challenges in marriage. My wife tells me, for instance, that you start to say, I snore? No, girl, until I wake up myself once or twice. This noise. So I really snore. Okay, good. And I just drop the argument and never discussion. But it was an argument, really. Okay, but tell me something.
Yeah, it's really, when you come to a marriage setting and you realize the differences between you and your partner, you realize, hey, you really have to continue learning. It's a work in progress, Thank God that I don't have to deal with her snoring. But she occasionally snores if it is, if she's really tired, But
he's a nice guy, huh?
It's not really a problem, but I know of some cases where people have it really bad, and that is like, you need to really... But this is a time where now the marriage really shows where the Lord would have given you a companion to help with issues. So I'll hear him, Darren, when you have had a little injury, and I'm sure your wife would have been there to help you. So I had an injury also, and she was there for me, helping me, So sometimes you might have a situation where, you have to deal with it. Hey, you're doing this, you might have to fix this, and you have to have some level of discussion to get over whatever is causing an issue.
Okay.
And sometimes it might be the nicest thing. You have to always try to make the right move, because sometimes, you have to know when to say certain things.
When to say, correct.
Because, especially if she's not a morning person, she's a night person, if you now reach home, you give her a little while, then to have the talk. So you have to make sure the setting is right. So it's a lot of tics. You have to learn how to really get...
How to fine-tune it.
Yeah, how to fine-tune and to get to the bottom of the issue, and knowing when to do it and how to do it. Tone, everything is important,
Yes, yeah. Okay, while you're there, while you're on the mic, we're talking about the individuality in marriage, and we're talking about two persons coming together. How much of your individual pursuits do men feel that they should not give up for marriage? For instance, you are into football, you are into cricket, or whatever, but now you have a wife. How do you make those adjustments? I see you smiling. I asked you right person. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was a very athletic. I was into a lot of sports,
Was?
Yeah, life changed now. Life has changed. And that's a hard thing, and a lot of marriages I've seen suffered with that. I heard a lot of women also, while I'm in work, and toiling about their boyfriends and their husbands, lying in long. And as a man, I would just say this for the young men: we have to reach a point where, when we get married, we have to understand that our searching days or unsubtle days are over. We have to now start a new era, you know? And this was a learning point for me because when we got married in the beginning, I'm also a musician. I'll be just playing. Oh, so we home, I'm thinking she's good, but I'm practicing. I want to be the best. So sometimes I might be there 2 hours, you know? Yeah.
And thinking she's comfortable because you are
Yeah,
home.
'cause, we home.
But really and truly you are home, but
Yeah.
absent.
You're home, but you're not home. Yeah, that is exactly it. And, you know, we had a discussion and, you know, and I was just absent-minded. I thought everything was good, you know?
Are you all learning from that?
So,
I hope you... hold on, one second. Anybody here planning on getting married soon? Could we have a raise of hand? Anybody recently married? David, did you raise your hand? Joseph, did you raise your hand? Okay, because what we are getting here, the reality is that not everything will be, you know, will be nice, but what you need is a concerted effort and approach to solving this issue. I want to hear too, Orlando, in terms of our response there. How did you deal with, you know, the individuality imposing itself on the marriage unwittingly?
So, as I said, very early for us, we were literally two individuals. Like we used to do every anniversary, you know, we'll say, okay, how is the marriage going? Like, what marriage is that you thought it wouldn't be? And for 5 years straight, Solia, I promise you, we will say, like, what was the big deal people was talking about? Like, marriage is this nightmare, and marriage is this thing, and, you know, and it's like, I feel like we were living in a total fairy tale, you know? Because we didn't, like, arguments. I mean, as I said, toothpaste issue, that's not an issue. You want to, you know, you doing your football, you doing your poetry, you doing your this, you doing your that, you doing the other, you doing the other. I'm just saying all of that to show you how much it was. You know, it was like literally not an issue because it's just like, I am doing a lot. I don't want nobody in my space. You doing a lot. You do your thing. I'm not cramping on your style. But then we had Sianda. So this is this child now that you have to find out when this one is coming home. So you actually have to make arrangements together as opposed to kind of living together, but kind of existing on your own. So as I said in the beginning, it really wasn't an issue for us. But with the advent of Sianda Sandy, that really challenged us in a major way. And we continue to work through that even now. Yeah, but we still try to give each other, you know, your space. But as I said, you know, with marriage, you're kind of learning. So you have to understand, like, when you have to set boundaries and you have to say, okay, well, no, you can't do X. Well, I'm not saying no, but the person will have to understand they can't do the things that they just wanted to do before. So, yeah, it's just a total work in progress now.
Okay, thank you. Before we continue, I want to invite well, not the congregation this time, or if you have any questions, because we are not too far from the end. Anybody has a question you would like to pose to these two couples here? Anybody? Okay, could we get a mic to system, please? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I kind of babysitting, right? So I asked him a question from outside. I have not, for the entire afternoon, I didn't get like a definition of the modern couple or the modern marriage. Because my definition of a modern marriage may be different to somebody else's. So could we get that from the couples or from you, Brother Amo? Like, what's your definition of a modern couple? Because even though you may have a traditional role, that does not mean you're not a modern couple. Or even if you're doing something slightly different, I don't mean you might be doing stuff traditionally. So what are your definitions of modern couples or modern marriages
Well, we touched on that a while ago. It depends on what perspective you are looking at. From what side of the fence are you looking at it from a Christian perspective, or a worldly perspective? But you want to respond to that, Lionel?
Well, what we touched on the modern family as where you have the shared roles, and where you didn't have in the home one person, maybe the woman, doing all the washing, cleaning, cooking, and still working. And that was more found in a traditional home. Seeing that both persons are working now in the home, both of us are working, we have to share the roles. So the more modern home, where we will see that the father is helping out with the household chores, the father is helping out cooking, the father is helping out with the children. That wasn't seen in the 1960s, 1950s, when the traditional home. So this is where, well, my concept of the modern family, where we are not labeling one person to a certain set of chores. You know?
Okay, thank you. Could a female? Okay, you will answer?
It's really a lot. When we talk about the modern woman, especially in 2022, most times we're looking at the woman who is empowered to the point of not only carrying out different roles in the home, but almost as a breadwinner and a decision maker in the home.
Career-wise and everything.
Yeah, the career woman. And of course, that is a very popular mainstream thing now. And like, as I was saying before, is what works for you in the situation, really. I think it would be a miss of somebody to really look at something, find a definition from it, and try to fit into that, but rather see how you as a person and the person you like, how you all fit, just as they were saying, that terms of who does what better, and you know how much time that takes, and really distributing the task in that kind of way.
Okay, I hear you. Did that answer your question?
She said she put a thumbs up. She had the mic again.
Okay. Any other before we move on? Yes. The mic is coming to you. I will enjoy this question.
Hi, everyone. So this is a question for the wives. It may have been partially answered already, but I just want to really ask it. Is it well, you know, today we have the big question of the gender roles, as we now spoke about, right? The question of the stay-at-home husband. So for wives, is it a priority that your husband works? Would you respect him the same if he decided he just wanted to stay at home and be a husband while you worked? So that's my question.
I know. Okay, you go ahead.
Actually, this is something Lana and I would have talked about before, and I wish I can have that job where I can be the provider. I have no problem doing that because I see Lana as an awesome father. I remember.
Could we have an applause for that, please?
Yes.
Amen. Yes. Yes.
I remember when Araya was just a few months old and school had closed, and usually my mother would come and see her. She took care of her from small. And Lana was like, no, school closed, I'll stay with her. Me, my sisters, and my mother, we had a good laugh, a real good laugh. And we were like, Lana's he gonna watch Araya? And you know, everybody was laughing because we just thought he couldn't do it. And week 1, he did it. Week 2, he did it. And we were like, okay. And from ever since that time, he has always been an amazing, just, the bond they have is make me jealous, like, because I didn't have that type of bond, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I would, if that opportunity comes in the morning, I will take it, and I will allow Lionel to be a musician full-time, because we know that already paid, you know? So he can do that full-time, and I would work all the time to provide for my family. So I have no issue doing that. I would respect my husband the same. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter who provides or who have the bigger income. My husband is my husband, and that wouldn't matter. But if that opportunity comes in the morning, I will take it.
Amen.
Amen. Sister, I'm right here with you. Fortunately for us too, Darren loves his art and poetry, so he is doing that and left his whole teaching job that is sure income, and he's doing his thing, which, has been sustaining us, because I didn't work for 2 years, and, Darren was able to hold things down. But I could tell you, we discussed this as well prior, and I was like, yeah, I have absolutely no problem. Of course, as, I shared before, he's very good at homemaking and, taking care of the space. He'll do it much better than I will. He does it much better than I do. So I will have absolutely no issue with, the stay at home. But I don't mind doing it as well. Like, if he wants to go and work and I can stay at home, trust me, that could work for me too. So, yeah.
Thank you. We're going to spend a couple minutes again before we close off. There has been an issue. You have a question?
Yes,
A comment? Go ahead.
the question
Sorry.
was 2-part, and this is just for the men. Would you all be comfortable being a stay-at-home husband? All your wives say, they would love it, but would you all do it?
I have no problem, because Akisha is very organized, and she picks up things so quickly, If you show her something once, this girl will just, and she's so professional. I admire her. I don't tell her all the time, but I'll just be like so shocked how she just picks up so much, So I think that if she really gets the opportunity, and she has a really big heart, she will do so much things in the job to try to make it better, and she'll come home and tell me all her ideas and so on. And I don't mind playing a supportive role to her, because I know her heart, it's so big. I can't see her taking the point where, some women, because they're empowered, they take advantage of the situation and marginalize males and so on. I don't see her doing that, because we still have the understanding that I'm the priest of the home, and that level of understanding where we know our roles, especially as the head of the home, she gives me that authority. And I think that is a serious thing, that we need to train our youths to understand the position, the roles. And I honestly will support her 100%, I'm not afraid of it.
I would have closed off with the whole question of trust. And you brought it out here. You trust each other. And this is something that evolves. This is something that grows. All right? I have before we close, there's one issue I want to bring up. This is a modern society that our life is run by technology. In my days, you want a phone call, you got to go by the phone booth, you got to go by the neighbor and make sure you're on good terms. But now everybody has a cell phone, and we tend to live 2 places, our mailing address and on a phone. How is that impacting marriage?
I guess it could have a serious impact. I remember the pandemic changed me a lot in terms of devices, and now so much work happens from on the device that it becomes tiring even for me. But yeah, I guess it does have to, and even the entertainment, because entertainment for me, like watching basketball, I watch it on the computer, however. So even when I finish work on the computer to entertain myself.
All right.
So it could be, it's something I have to manage. I remember before the pandemic, I didn't used to sleep with my phone and stuff. I hardly even use my phone anymore per se, because everything is on the computer.
I hear you.
So it's the use of the computer. I guess in the night, close it, or sometimes they fall asleep watching something. It's something you just have to be aware of. I don't think it affects us, because I think she probably is on it as much as I am. And YouTube end up raising your child to a point. My child is stuck with an accent. YouTube caused that. And many other children too. And it's just because of the modern day. So that is like one actual thing that is happening, like how the Trinidad gonna be sounding in the next 10 years is gonna be interesting to me.
Yeah.
Unless we get more local content, but that's a different conversation.
But
so yeah, it's something you have to manage your phone use, and just it's something you have to plan and table now. you know that. Yeah.
But the thing is, with the phone, and you are into the arts, all right, and teaching and whatever, you're into so many things. You are at home, but yet not at home.
That's right. That's
with the
right.
phone.
Yeah.
Danielle?
Yeah, and that's a serious thing, you know. Talking about my situation with the piano, and now when you're teaching online and you're doing everything online, you have to remember that you still have the family needs, and that's what Keisha always used to bring out that to me, you know. We need to spend quality time, you know, and that's something for the men especially.
Yes.
I tell you that be very careful with how much time you spend away from nurturing your wife, you know, having those talks. You know, just have that time with you all just talking and how your day went, and just give affection, you know. Trust me, it's needed, you know.
I hear you.
And I learned that. I had to learn it. When she had that talk with me, I know I just sit down and say, but you know, it's true. I hear, but I really not hear, you know. And sometimes the heart-to-heart talk is really important, you know.
Good, certainly.
And that changed my mindset of relationship and just this marriage and the whole, you know. You have to spend that quality time.
It's sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, and being conscious of the other person's needs. And, you know, you might not be deliberately selfish, but you can be selfish if you're not careful. And your spouse might not always tell you about it immediately. And this is something that can fester. So for those of you out there, it's not too late. So those of you who look at opera, are you there with me? Or Steve Harvey, and spend too much time on television, still it's not too late. You can get back and you can reignite your marriage. I want to thank this couple for coming here. You want to make a point, do you? You want to make a point? Okay. We're going to thank these two couples for coming here this evening. As we close, from you, how would you, in 10 seconds, how would you describe your marriage now?
My marriage has been a journey of ups and downs, more ups than downs, thank God. But, and when there were downs, thank God it wasn't, you know, anything major. But still a journey, a learning experience. Each day isn't going to be the same. And if I could just say this really quickly, from courtship into marriage, when you're courting, you can have your space, you can move, you can do what kind of you want. But
and you are blind. And you are blind.
And when you're married, it kind of changes. And so we have to be mindful of that. And so when you get married, remember, you know, yes, you still need your space because you're still an individual. But you're having that space you're sharing that space now with another person, right? So for me, I would just say that marriage is, and it keeps evolving and changing as time progresses and different factors coming, like Araya coming in. It has been a journey for me.
You know, I am glad you said that. And before we go to Tova or Darren, whoever is going to, I was speaking to somebody recently, and I told them that marriage is like an essay. You have a plot, but you need to be looking back every time to see, how have I been doing? You know, maybe you change this paragraph, change that, and you need to be always looking to see, are we on the right path?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And for one thing we do, to just solidify the point a little bit, every few months, because life happens, you know, you're going to fall off. He's going to do his thing because he is busy. He's in school, he is doing this, he's doing that. I'm busy, I'm doing a whole other things too. So at some point, after a few months, we would always, let's reassess and start over.
Yes.
And that keeps the marriage going, you know, start over, like you now get married, start over again, you know, so that works for us, and maybe it might work for somebody else. So to me, that's important as well.
And you have to be innovative.
Yes.
You know what an elder told me recently, before you go on, an elder told me recently, he lives away, and because of the virus, they couldn't travel to enjoy their how much 50th anniversary or what. He said what they did, his wife, when they prepared the house as a honeymoon suite. I gave you ideas for your 9th anniversary. Okay, Tova. All right. They prepared the house as a honeymoon suite for your anniversary. And you know, that was so nice. You know, you got to be thinking. But Sister Tova, go right ahead.
Of course, when Sister Keisha said marriage is a journey, I jumped because it's the exact same example that same term that I would use in terms of our marriage. Indeed, ups, downs. As I said, we really had that moment in our marriage that was just like, literally, you could be married for 100 years. But then you have those instances where you have to reassess, you have to change your structures, you have to change how you, how you treat and deal with one another. I will definitely say to any new couple or anybody, thinking about getting into a marriage, like I said, the way I described our marriage for that first 5 years was literally a fairy tale. But fairy tales don't exist, so it's more or less like I was saying or speaking into my marriage like this thing that isn't true. So marriage is something that you have to be conscious and working at. Amen. If you all are, operating as two individual persons and not having that real grounded discussions on how you're going to move forward as a team, then really and truly you're kind of like just roommates. So that might be the hard conversations that you're going to have, that is going to now have it like this journey that you're like, what, I didn't know this. But God is good once you keep God at the center, even on the days when, it gets very tough. At least, you just remember that God is there throughout your journey and God doesn't change, even if there are days that you all may change in terms of the amount of love you have for each other, or if you don't want to see each other in this moment or whatever it is. So for me, marriage definitely is a journey, but one that you have to be committed to working towards and progressing with your partner.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You want to close up? Okay. So therefore, we have had a very interesting discourse this evening. We can learn from it. What we need to do is to ever look back at what our plans were, what caused us to come together. And I would say, the things that cause us to come together are the very things utilized to let us stay together. Age and situations might change, but that commitment to marriage must always be there. I want to wish these couples all the best. All right? You have one kid? One? So we got a message here. I hope I didn't come across the mic, but by next year we might have, most likely, a dedication or something. All right. So I want to say thank you all very much for being here. We have learned a lot, and we must say thank you very much, and all the best to Mr. and Mrs. Sandy, Mr. and Mrs. Hilaire. Thank you very much. Yes, go on.
Yes, that was a lovely discussion. We had here by our two beautiful couples and our dear elder brother Amor, the brother of love, right? So right about now, I will be doing this evening's announcements. I know you guys would have enjoyed our first installment of Family Matters. We will be having another installment on the 21st of May, which is next week's Sabbath, and this program will be speaking about finances. So this week we would have learned a bit about priorities and various things within marriage, how these couples would have prioritized each other, prioritize work, prioritize church, things like that, just to make their marriage work. And our next week, we will be having three different couples who will be coming to speak on how they may work out different financial trials, as Brother Amor may put it, in their marriage, right? Just a important thing to note, that program will be in person and it will be held at the Dabadi SDA Church. So that's in person at Dabadi SDA for 4:15 p.m. on the 21st of May. All right, so tomorrow we will having our cricket competition. I know today may have been rainy, but tomorrow the sun will be out, and sun is the best thing for cricket, right?
I hear you.
So supporters of Maloney, I am from Maloney, so I'm going to support Maloney. I am going to be wearing a blue t-shirt, and supporters of Dabadi, come out in the yellow, right? And support your teams. Ooh, come out in your green, come out in your green. Yellow is for somebody else. Right, so we out there. Cricket is an early morning thing, so we coming out 9 p.m. We on the cricket pitch. Guys, I was testing the audience to see if they're listening. So we coming out at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning on the cricket pitch, which is on the Clayton in Savannah in Maloney Gardens. Pine Haven. Okay, guys, I just want to blame the person who would have given me this information, right? There was an error in information passing. I'm going to start over, right? We'll be having a cricket competition on Sunday, which is tomorrow, right? The cricket competition will be held at Pine Haven SDA Church, which school. It will be Pine Haven SDA School, right? It will be held at 9 a.m., so that is morning time. We at Maloney SDA will be wearing, what color, everyone? Blue. And those at Dabadi will be wearing green. And we all will be out in our numbers to support all the team players. So that will just also our regular Sunday and Wednesday night services continue from 7 p.m. We also have our usual Sabbath morning services at 10 a.m. So I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out today to this program. And I'd now like to turn you over to our dear brother Reed, who will close us with our closing song.
Good afternoon, everyone, and let's ask everyone to turn their hymnals to hymn number 52, Now the Day is Over. Now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening steal across the sky. Father, give the weary calm and sweet repose. With thy tender blessing, may each eyelid close. Through the long night watches, may thy angels spread their white wings above me, watching round my head. Please assume our position of reverence as we pray to a close. Fair, kind, and merciful Father, thank you for this evening, and thank you for giving us this opportunity where we could come before your throne of grace and also the opportunity to come and fellowship, dear Lord. I thank you for the persons that participated in the program this evening. I ask that you bless both couples represented, dear Lord, and that you continue to bless their marriage so that they will continue to prosper and grow. And through their marriage, could also be a testimony to those looking, and also a form of inspiration for anybody or any young couple looking to make that next step and that next transition, dear Lord. As we are about to depart from this place, I ask that you carry us to our various destinations in safety. These and other mercies I ask in your name. Amen.